Happy Kwaai Day. Okay.
Happy Kwaai Day.
So, welcome back, Afshin, as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we saw posts from you, podcasts, and from Germany, and a lot of people have been on explorations, including Colin. Colin, Afshin was facing wild animals in Berlin
And Rome.
Yes, it's right.
Fighting on Romans.
Yes, and Rome. Yeah. Okay. So look, welcome back. Is this the 13th or the 14th? Let's call it the 14th public meeting, since the summit was the 13th, wasn't it? Okay, that's good. Welcome everybody to another public meeting of Kwaai. Today, I'd like to introduce Yunus Atif from Arcus Nexus, but also you all know Yunus because we've had him on the calls, and he's a trusted advisor. And I'd like to dig more into how Arcus Nexus is going to work with Kwaai, helping us in development and providing more structure. So Yunus is CEO of Arcus Nexus. Arcus Nexus is a software development firm based in Latin America. Yunus is based in San Diego, but the headquarters of Arcus is across the border in Tijuana. But they have offices, I think, in Mexico City, but all the way down into the rest of Latin America. Quite a sizable operation with lots of software talent. And I was really pleased this week where Yunus said they're prepared now that they've seen the momentum of Kwaai. They're prepared to offer us a team of six developers, but that includes product management, that includes more senior management, which I think we need. We've got a bunch of enthusiastic engineers, developers, but I think we need that sort of orthodox guidance in addition to the enthusiasm. And so I'm welcoming Yunus. Yunus, perhaps you can talk a bit about Arcus and what sort of projects it undertakes now, and then maybe talk about how we can work together.
Sure. Thank you, Reza. Good morning, everyone, or how do you call it, Reza? Happy Kwaai Day. Happy Kwaai Day, everyone. Let's start with Arcus. Our Arcus Nexus is a nearshore company. We have almost 650 employees. 90% of them are developers. We've been around for 20 years. People stick around with us for a long time. We're talking on average 4 or 5 years, but we have developers who've been around for 10, 15, 18 years. We started as a nearshore company because the founders saw they were developers themselves working between Tijuana and Mexico City, and they saw that there's a huge potential across the border. It's like, hey, if we just cross, we're 5 minutes away from the US side, maybe we can find some interested clients. And sure enough, they did. I myself had been a client of Arcus. Back in 2016, I discovered them and I used them as a client, leveraged them in my companies. And I got to know the company from the outside. And over the last 14, 15 months, I got to run the operations from the inside. But back to Arcus, we developed any software that requires a back end and front end. I think I'm describing 99.99% of software. And we developed over the years the skills to manage the software development life cycles. And we also build this pool of talent, very capable to build applications. We service typically small businesses, but also have some mid-market clients. We start small when they just sometimes building the MVP and the prototype, and our hope is to grow with them. And that model has been very successful for us. One of our clients is a unicorn, San Diego-based unicorn. We started with 2 developers, and now we have 170 of them. In the last 1 year, we learned how to adopt agile methodologies, and Scrum is the successful methodology that allowed us to successfully manage applications and keep the risk under control. This is why we have a pool, again, of talent, not just developers, but product owners and Scrum Masters and project managers. When speaking to Reza about the needs and just listening to other members of Kwaai about how we're going to change the world, it's obvious that we're not short of technical talent. Whether at Kwaai or at Arcus, we do have developers, but we also need a strong product owner who can come in and just make sure that there is organized chaos in our attempt to change the world. We're not going to change the purpose of Kwaai and the product we're building or the applications we're developing. Part of the organization of Arcus is we have this team whose job is to validate and upgrade the skills of our production developers. And we're going to take the brilliant amongst those team members who are not currently working on any project and quarantine them and make sure that they are dedicated to the Kwaai's development for the foreseeable future. We have 3 developers with background in AI and data science, and we have 3 others who know very little, if anything, about this world of AI. But together, they will acquire the skills needed to deliver, and also there will be a designated product owner, one of the best we have in the company actually, who will accompany them, accompany Kwaai in defining the requirements, defining the roadmap, and managing the day-to-day of writing software. So if you have any questions, happy to answer, but we're very thrilled to jumpstart development. I understand Toby and team have been coding away, Ian, and I can't mention all the names, but I think it's time to put some order and dedicate people to this. We're all volunteers. Someone's job, at least 40 hours a week, would be making sure that Kwaai is delivering the software it dreams of delivering to the world.
Okay. So thank you so much, Eunice. So we've had development has started already. I think Colin kicked off the development a while back. We've got an AWS account. We've got a GitHub repository, and there's work that's been done. There's some architectural diagrams. My understanding of the output of product management is all of those artifacts that are the precursors to writing code, the user stories, the persona analysis, the user journeys, and that sort of documentation should become the reference for developers, and so that we know, when we're taking something off the backlog, we're just not. We've got a bigger context of what to write, but the other part of it is, as you mentioned, is Scrum and Agile. It's managing the overall program in a series of bursts of development, which help us mitigate risk. So we're not taking on the whole thing all at once. We're going to say, okay, for this next Scrum, for the next sprint,
right,
let's say it's 2 weeks long. This is what we hope to achieve, and then we move forward. So I'm excited at this increase in momentum, and thank you very much, Eunice, for managing to get permission from your company to devote that resource to Kwaai.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Excited to get this thing started.
Right. Okay. If there are no, we'll leave questions till later. How about that? I know Mike's raised his hand. Go on.
Oh, just tactically, and I'm sorry if you said this because I was kind of eating while you were talking, but listening. Are are we going to be starting a Jira board, or how are we going to be doing the actual project management sprints and stuff?
Yeah, we do use Jira, so it makes sense to adopt it. Unless Kwaai is keen to use some other tools, but Jira is the way we're going.
Jira is great, and for a knowledge base, maybe something like Confluence is also good. Most software development teams use that, so that becomes your internal wiki rather than sharing stuff via email that sits in individuals' inbox. You want it in a common repository so that when a new team member comes to join, you can point them at the repository and say, okay, here's the knowledge base, and here in the tree is where you need to focus. So it's also a job keeping that knowledge base up to date, because these things age out really quickly.
Yeah.
So these are sort of non-technical jobs where there are lots of enthusiastic participants, and that's where they could be applied, because this is a volunteer effort, as you know, and it's going to be wide, and people aren't going to be dedicated to them, but we should enable them to be able to dip in, participate, and then move on. Mike, another question before we can move on. Okay.
It can be endless.
Yeah.
So we started to get on a pace, and we missed a couple of Wednesday Pi working group architecture meetings. I think it'd be great for next Wednesday, and I'd like to propose 9 a.m. Pacific time, if that works, that we have a standing weekly meeting. Eunice, that might be an amazing time to bring your team in and kind of have like a kickoff, bring them up to date on what we've talked about, learn who the players are on your side, and kind of start structuring that as a at least a weekly or every other week. It just depends how we're going to run the sprints and stuff like that.
Can we make sure to put that on like the Kwaai public calendar or some calendar so it ends up on our meeting calendar?
Fantastic. Okay, more hands raised. Kai.
Yeah, just quickly, Eunice, you were mentioning when we were at the summit, to use CRM to automate, welcoming people and so on. I found that very interesting. So do you have an idea when you could help on that, or it's
Eunice
too
gave me an
early?
update yesterday. I think we've not got it on the agenda yet. I think it's still, Eunice, it's still somewhat nascent, isn't it? We need to probably have some offline review before we bring it up in a public meeting.
Yeah, it's not ready for prime time, but I think I'm 50% done with describing the vision. I need input from my partner Deep. Then we can share with Reza, Matt, and Afshin for approval. Then we share with the team. But it's in progress. It's in progress. And the idea is to define high-level requirements. That way we can also pick the right CRM. I threw the name Salesforce. It doesn't have to be. And I'm just putting all the elements so we can decide and make a rational decision there.
Fantastic.
And Mike, thanks for the invite for the Wednesday meeting. Happy to join.
Okay. Mike, can you organize that invite?
Yeah, quick note on that. I'll be posting the link as soon as I can dig it up here. We'll also send it out from the listserv and post it in the Slack. There's a public Kwaai meetings calendar that will be there, Google Calendar, so you can subscribe to that. Make it easier to also organize ad hoc working groups. If you would like to fire one up and get a public meeting on the books and talk, please reach out to Afshin, Reza, or myself, and we will get that meeting added to the public calendar. And again, that'll then show up for people to subscribe. We'll do our best to keep announcing these things as well, but going forward, that will be a good way to start organizing general public meetings.
Fantastic. Okay. Matt, next point on the agenda.
Yeah, great. So summit recap. I wanted to actually lead us off here with just a few pictures. So I get to lead off with the welcome as well as the recap. I thought it was phenomenal to meet folks in person. I thought the response from the community, both physically there as well as virtually attending, was great. and it was really awesome to get to know Kwaai folks better. So top two, that was the room that we were in. Part of Joey Rasul back there, part of our camera crew, and the Rasul family helping out with that. Thank you. Riza, you got up there and you talked about, Rasul being, for Messenger and how that's not relevant anymore. But I absolutely feel like you and the Rasul family lived true to your name and the Rasul family name as you were getting the message out. So thanks to all of that. Joey, thank you, and Abstentia here for helping us put together all of the Kwaai videos. That's the playlist here. Those are now up. There's me. Those are now up and ready in a video playlist. We are going to be sharing those around, and I'd love to actually ask if Matthew's here. I'm not sure if Matthew's here, but we do have some plans in the Kwaai Slack in order to kind of share, spread the word here. So please help us share out some of this content, these videos, watch them, respond to them, comment on them. Let's keep the conversation going that we started physically, and continue it virtually.
Well, it was a fantastic, I keep using the term fantastic. It was heartwarming. It was, the angst beforehand, what if I throw a party and no one comes? No, we had good participation in person and on the live streaming. The college was very appreciative of creating this community event. It allowed them to assert their position as being at the cutting edge of issues in both academia and in technology, in industry, and there was great participation. We had a sort of a broader board meeting beforehand. It wasn't all board meeting members. It was basically anyone from the Kwaai in a circle that turned up. We had a meeting in around a very plush boardroom. That was prior to the event, and then we had 4 hours of public lectures, sessions, and I thought it was successful. However, we could rather than just patting ourselves on the back and moving on in the agenda, let's dwell a bit on what we could have done better. I see Ruth's got a hand up.
Yes, not just for that, but I think it was Matt who said something last week about the sense of community that we're building in Kwaai, and how apt it was that this first summit should be held at a community college. And we were playing around with words like democratizing and personalizing and so on. But I think maybe this is a little too previous, but maybe if we're looking forward to the next summit, I like the idea of that being in a community college. We're also discussing four-year institutions. I think that gets a little bit more complicated. I think COC is a great place to start. Very convenient for me. I have a parking pass and so on. But I'd like to explore the idea of other California community colleges. I know there's some fine community colleges down in San Diego. And going north from here, there's some others, and I think we can work on that as a theme of keeping community in AI. I reported back to our administrators, to Dr. James Temple, who's our IT VP, and Dr. Omar Torres, who's our VP of instruction. And they were very happy. They were very happy with not just how we left the place afterwards, but the great sense of community that allowed our faculty and our students to join. So good job, everybody.
But it took Ruth and me a bit longer to clean up after our own place. After.
Our own house is another problem. Yeah, we need to talk about that separately.
we had a little après Kwaai. What did we call it? Kwaai event, and it went on quite a while. Okay, so thank you very much for participating. I see some hands up. Afshin. No, you're muted.
Sorry, there you go. No, there you go. Perfect. No, I'm not talking to myself. But to expand on what Ruth said, I know I sorry missed the meeting, but to maybe consider also having it different regions in the U.S. because there's the East Coast where I live, and then there's the Midwest too. So I know there's some people from Minnesota in the group. Some you could always have in the Boston area. I could try to organize something here too, just to expand the people and the diversity of people that come to these meetings would be, I think, a real good idea.
What a great idea.
It's a good start,
Yeah, and I think more warning. We gave ourselves less than a month's warning to say, hey, we're going to hold a summit here. I mean, part of it was us asking for a freebie from the college, and they said, okay, here are the dates that are available. And so it sounded a bit like a shotgun wedding, when this is the only it's the only time the facilities are available. But okay, so sometime in Q1.
One thing to add to is I could probably even try to see if Broad Institute could host one of these events too. Since I'm there, I could probably even get it for free. We do all the work though for PR, but they could actually probably have a place where, and there'd be probably the Broad community be interested to hear about this, I imagine. So
okay. So we got a full agenda, but Mike quickly and then Deep.
Thanks. I would just say areas of improvement. I know we threw it together at the last minute. I thought it was amazing. One thing I think we need to be cognizant of is that more than likely these are going to be sort of online first kinds of activities, and spending a bit more time in having the right sort of AV and really thinking about it from the quality of what we're going to be streaming and how that content is going to be received and repurposed, I think would be very helpful for the next one. And then I'll just throw it out there. I'm very close to UNLV, and they have a very big focus on tech in their engineering school, especially AI, as it relates to gaming and entertainment, as you can imagine. And they have really great facilities. So it might be something not quite center of the country, but provide people a fun destination to go to maybe for the next one.
Fantastic.
I'll just kind of throw that out there.
Okay, that sounds great. Who doesn't like going to Vegas? Okay, there are a few hands went up. I go to Vegas so frequently for trade shows and so on. I think that would make a lot of sense. Okay, Deep, quickly before we move on.
Yeah, so obviously I find Ruth's idea very interesting about sticking to community colleges. I'm neither opposed nor in favor of it. I'm happy to try it out, and I'm happy to volunteer if you need to find community colleges here locally near San Francisco or East Bay. Areas of improvement. I think Mike had a great point about engaging the online audience, and I have some ideas on how we can work on it. We can talk about it offline. And one of the things was the coordination between our team, the speakers. As a panelist, when I was trying to develop the questions, one of my challenges was I didn't know the content of the talks that were going before me. And so it would have been nice if I could coordinate those, so that they all go in a flow. So maybe a couple of Zoom calls of all the panelists of like one track together before the meeting would be helpful. So
fantastic idea. Okay, Matt, let's move the agenda on.
Yeah, work streams, Riza.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to ask Eunice to work with Mike Rubin on the personal AI work stream and get that onto a formal setting, product management and getting a roadmap and and the sort of sprint planning and so on. If you're in agreement, that should be an offline thing scheduled outside, discussed outside of this meeting. I mean, you can mention it, you can do a readout of your progress report here, but as you said, you're going to schedule meetings midweek. Okay. And then the other work streams are a bit nascent, but Kwaai and I, let me talk about the AI fundamentals. I was up in San Francisco Wednesday because the TED AI conference was in town. I didn't attend, but there are lots of satellite meetings that were possible with companies, and so Kwaai and I had a meeting with one of the companies, and in that meeting it occurred that we are just too early to start exposing this to a broader audience, at least the stuff we're doing in Kwaai. It's a bit nascent. I had some interesting interactions with Shad, and I think it was Justin and Ian McFarlane as well, and offering help on the coding help on the AI fundamentals. I'm going to break that out as a separate work stream. So me, Kwaai, and those coding developers, I think we're going to start experimenting. It's more in the line of research rather than product development. So it won't follow the sort of agile methodology, because we're just hunting around for what we can do. Okay. Ian says he was the heavy bit. Okay, yeah, I can't. Okay, very good. So look, so that's one work group. I don't know what we're doing on AI policy, and I don't know who the natural leader is for AI policy. We need some volunteers there. I know we had a former congressman.
Yeah, Kwanzaa is definitely interested. I'll make sure he starts to at least attend when he can, but
right.
He's been keeping up with the recordings, and he's ready to hop on at least into the Slack group. So I'll have Matt get him queued up for that.
Fantastic. So, but we need to have an owner for the AI policy work stream, and just frankly, an owner, one throat to choke is always a good policy. If these things are owned by a committee, then you lose accountability, you lose mission focus. So I'm looking for someone who's got the time and has got the inclination and the domain expertise to own that work stream. Okay, so that's all. Back to you, Matt. What's next on the agenda?
Blowing the mute button here.
Yeah, sorry. There is some logistic stuff. At the board meeting, we discussed for the official formation of the nonprofit.
Yep.
I'm not going to discuss it further on the public call, but I want to acknowledge that Jim Baker offered his help in that area. And Jim, thanks so much, and we'll reach out to you separately. I think we do need some sort of legal counsel in that in that transition creation of the nonprofit. Okay, let's move on, Matt.
Yeah, great. I'd love to get some member voices. We've got 30 on the over 30 on the call today. Even excluding all of the autopilot army here. Some familiar faces as well as some new names. Anybody want to volunteer to introduce themselves that hasn't had a chance to before?
Maybe I could get Sylvan to introduce. I'm bringing him in because he's one of my friends and colleagues. And I think he probably doesn't know I told him a little bit about the background of what we're doing. So I guess, Sylvan, I could talk to you offline, but maybe if you want to introduce yourself, just tell people who you are.
Yeah, I'll just say, this is, please just, introduce yourself and whatever your curiosity is to have shown up today for the meeting. It's that curiosity and interest that we're really looking to hear about today.
Yeah, sure. I work in NASA. I'm the project manager for Open Science for Space Bio. I also have other roles. I work at headquarters for, I'm part of the Council for Open Science and also the Council for AI. So we're involved in strategy for, I'm actually writing down right now the NASA strategy for AI. We actually had a very big workshop 2 weeks ago at AIMS, NASA Ames Research Center in Silicon Valley, where we had the ambassador of the European Union who came over, and it was a really interesting meeting. We discussed the future, the future of employees and new skills required for this era, and they painted a very grim picture of the future. Not so much that AI is going to take people's job away. It's more like whoever is not using AI is going to be out of the game. And they were warning that they had like a very strong assessment. They did a very big assessment, both for Europe and the US. And the conclusion was that the US is going to be left behind, most likely. And they're going to be the least prepared out of all the countries between Europe and the US. And the reason for that is we don't have a good education system to pivot. But the Europeans are also very worried because they feel they're not ready for the turn either. So there was a big community of, there were a lot of politicians in that meeting. We had the whole governor, California had brought there the entire AI team from the governor office. So they spoke as well. And the idea is to use AI to be more productive. And if we don't use it, we're going to have a problem. And then we were involved because the government is even more struggling with this because there's all kinds of liability behind AI that we need to be aware of. For instance, we're not supposed to use ChatGPT. Everybody else is using it. There's all kinds of rules about generative AI that's very, very stringent for the government because there's a liability behind it. If you use ChatGPT to write your email, well, you certainly have a machine writing for you stuff, and the government is not going to go with that. Not yet. So there's a lot of discussion right now about all these. There's really two aspects of AI for NASA. One is on using AI for science, and that's been done for years. We've got probably some of the best AI people at NASA that do some crazy AI stuff, but that's for science. The aspect of productivity with AI, that question is not being discussed in NASA, and that's something that's totally lacking. And I think that's really what that workshop we had 2 weeks ago was about. And so that was very interesting because that's the first time I heard discussion around it. And I think it's changing the dialogue because people, I think, are going to be more open to hear this kind of discussion. So in a nutshell, I've been bathing in AI now for 2 years. We're trying to bring it to our own platform for our open science platform. And there's all kinds of rules that we have to apply. And so anyway, and we have a big LLM process right now. We're collaborating very closely with IBM. We have a LLM exercise that is using how many millions of papers? I think we have 5 or 6 million papers from the literature that, and all the NASA report, internal report, we gave it to IBM, and they're creating a new LLM that's going to be like ChatGPT but for science. Unfortunately, no one's going to be able to see it. It's going to stay behind a firewall. So because they don't want to be responsible for generative AI. It's the same issue that we had. They don't want that thing out. So there's a lot of movement in the government, and I'm very curious to see what that group is about and what you guys do. So thanks.
And maybe I said Sylvain. I've told Sylvain a little bit what's happening, but maybe Riza or other folks here, maybe Sylvain, we could have a meeting, folks, and then we could tell you the full scope of what we're thinking of. Because then I think talking about the AI ethics and AI policies, like I think that's why I told Sylvain, like, if you're interested, hop on. He knows a lot about what's happening outside of, in the government and everywhere else, and what we should concentrate on maybe when we're creating our platform.
Fantastic! It sounds like lots of meat for a separate call with Sylvain. Thanks so much for joining today. Matt, move us on.
Yeah, wonderful. If anybody else would like to introduce themselves or ask a question, say a few words, please do jump in. Sean, I see you're here today. Justin, hello. Kartikeya, hello. Mayra, hello. Mike.
I think I see some new names on here. Alvaro is one of Eunice's colleagues. Alvaro, come on, don't be shy. Introduce yourself.
Sorry, I'm mute. Hello. Well, my name is Alvaro. I have more than 10 years working at the company with Arcus Nexus. So my position right now in the company is a director of talent, and it's focused for the manager for the talent and acquisitions and then allocations for the project's internal projects and clients. So I'm happy to work with you guys. So any question about the talent, maybe send me a message and right.
Fantastic. Okay. And then your colleague, Cyan Ford, also muted and speak up. We'd like to hear from you.
Hey guys, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm working with Arcus Nexus 2. I basically have experience with project management, and that's basically what I will be doing here. I'm real excited to work with y'all. The project is very good, and actually the idea of having your personal AI is something that intrigues me. So it is a good project, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. Is Nicholas Martin a new name on there? You don't have a face on your emoji on your.
He's driving. You may not be able to come off mute.
Oh, okay, not to worry. I'm going to call on people if you don't speak up, and even if you have spoken before, it's worth speaking again. I'm going to pick on someone. Okay, Myra, former colleague. Let's hear from you. No, she's not going to speak up. Okay.
I'd be curious. Was anybody out there in the audience attending the summit virtually, and just curious about your experience on the platform, asking questions, being involved? I'd love to hear some feedback and thoughts from anyone that attended virtually.
Yep, I did. I was there for the full 4 hours. It was good. But I do wish that there was more interaction with, people who were watching virtually. I don't know if there was anyone other than me. There was a little bit of confusion because there was the LinkedIn and then there was the Google one. So the LinkedIn didn't have an option to raise your hand or to unmute or speak. But the Google one did, but I didn't want to interrupt you guys.
I see. Okay.
When it came to questions,
and there was a Zoom, so it was going out 3 ways. The college was putting it out on Zoom.
Okay.
And the other the mistake we had is we only scheduled it for 4 hours, which was dumb.
Yes.
And we actually started it early, and so it ended early. And and then the LinkedIn stream just switched off without any warning.
Yeah. Yep.
And so look, we had 255 people responded, and they all dipped in and out at various times. You're probably one of the few that lasted the entire 4 hours.
I had FOMO. I wanted to be there.
Next time, okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe we hit Rob up, and maybe Real Networks hosts us in the sort of big empty headquarters. Up in Seattle. Okay, so that's another possible venue. Okay.
I'm on the East Coast though.
Oh, okay. Gosh, okay. Sorry, I forgot that, Myra. So we'll have to do an East Coast thing. Okay.
And Myra, you reached out afterwards, talking about getting involved and what you can do. Just curious on your thoughts and feedback from today's conversation. What Eunice is setting up here. Any thoughts of how you can get more involved?
I'm so sorry, but I also have a meeting at the same time. that I'm listening in on. So I'll have to ask you later what Eunice talked about.
Oh, no worries. Just getting started on project management, some of the other roles. You've been getting involved to help us promote some of the summit content. Just curious if you're starting to find your place, and if you have any thoughts and words for anybody that would also like to find their place.
Well, I think the first thing is to ask, right? And not wait, because I finally reached out to you and I was like, listen, I'm trying to figure out what to do, how to fit in, how to make myself useful, make my skill set useful. And, trying to figure it out on my own wasn't working very well. And I think just reaching out, I'm sure you'll find a way for everyone to contribute.
Thank you. And please and thanks.
So I'm going to call on you, Jim Baker. We haven't heard from you in a while. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you could contribute.
Sure. Is my audio coming through okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I was also on for the full 4 hours. It was very good. I sent some feedback at the time just around kind of discrepancies between the audio and things like that, but I thought it was actually relatively clear. I would say I've actually helped. I helped in last year organize a hybrid 400-person event with about 200 people remote, and it is a huge pain in the ass. So I do appreciate the work that went into that, and I could help, but I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing I could help with. But I think if there's like a choreography piece, and I think Mike mentioned, right? Like you've got to go through, you got to do a dress rehearsal, you got to do dry runs on content on some of these things. It's tedious, but that's like, I mean, you've all done presentations, right? It's like it's just the necessary evil. But on a personal basis, I was actually just dropping you a note. Happy to help with some of the formation stuff. I'm not a legal expert, but I've formed companies and have been looked through the charity stuff on behalf of organizations I've been working on that were actually registered. So I also just know people who do know more about it. So I was just, my kind of volunteer to you was saying, like, I can help pull some of that together if it would be helpful, get it so that the decisions can be made and all the rest of it. And then I was going to throw my hat in the ring on just supporting is, my background is kind of CTO with a bunch of CIO and CISO stuff, right? So if I can help with just simple stuff, like I am a Jira admin, right? So I know how all of that works well, right? I am very well versed in the AWS stack and all the stuff around core identity and security. So if I can help just put some kind of basic infrastructure around that as all the really smart people are doing smart things, then I'd be happy to help with all that.
Fantastic, Jim. That's right in the sweet spot of the stuff we're talking about. And yeah, so I'm sure you can be of help. Okay. Let's see. Let's hear from some other voices.
Yeah, Sean.
Hi, everybody. I'm so sorry that I missed it. As I said, we had a friend visiting last week, but I felt really disappointed not to be able to come. But I feel like places where I can help is, with our stuff at GUI, we are always optimizing toward trying to put things out there that are broadly useful and then get usage and then iterate from there in terms of where there's market resonance. And so I would love to help in terms of like, what's the code and tools that we're actually getting out there that a broader community finds useful. So I'd love to help with that. So point me appropriately.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so this is the new voices slot, but I think we've heard from a lot of the new voices already.
There are a couple more. Balaji, okay. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, this is my first time I attended virtually. I like Myra shared, I was there for most of the time. The audio quality was good. One thing I would recommend is there was a time shift in the agenda, so I couldn't quite follow the listed agenda and the actual course of events. Maybe that's one feedback that I have. On the part, why I'm interested, I think I like the community aspect. I like the open source aspect. It's still evolving field where I can contribute. Again, I'm a coder, I'm a CTO, I'm an entrepreneur. So I have a mix of all of these. I can get into rapid prototyping really fast. I've done a few. Feel free to use me in those aspects.
Fantastic, Balaji. Thank you. Okay.
Ruth, go ahead.
Yeah, me again, old voice. We did do the Zoom link as well, which is, you know, in-house, as it were. I know that Joseph has edited it down and he's provided a link for that too. There were some questions because the Zoom, I know Myra was on that for a while, and I think Jim was on that for a while as well. It was mainly COC, College of the Canyons people. And there were some questions generated there that we didn't get time to get to because the policy panel, you know, we were right up against, we were timing out. So I'd like to find a way of continuing that discussion, particularly in the education area. I know that Ray has set up a group, Ray Gill has set up a group, and there is some stuff, I was just noting what Sylvan had to say about the liability of using AI in a government sphere, and it's certainly something that we have to be concerned about in public education as well. So that's an ongoing conversation in my workspace, and I'd like to kind of blend those two things, my workspace and here too.
Okay, fantastic. So the winner of the soundbite that got the most clicks and the most views on YouTube was in fact Mike Rubin. And Mike, do you recall what you said? That just spiked.
No, I mean, it was a little bit of a blackout for me. I don't remember a word I said. So
right, okay.
I think I probably got some clicks.
you said something like this will be the last stage of evolution of humanity, and a new species is on its way. What was that the one? Yeah. When last did you do the math? Right, exactly. It was that clip. And if you look, because it was put out as a YouTube short. So Joey has taken all of these sort of sound bites and put it out there, and yours just spiked in traffic. It was phenomenal. I don't know what the latest count is now, but so, well, thanks for that. But also thanks to Joey for, he's basically this machine that's creating publicity for us. So it's just fantastic. And look, on YouTube, you've got all of these clips. So you go to the Kwaai AI Lab channel on YouTube, you can go get them. We've also provided the link, the playlist, and so on. Pick one, write a comment about it, and blast it out to your network on LinkedIn, and just start the buzz. And then put @Kwaai on there, and that leads people to the Kwaai page. Put the URL of kwaai.ai in there, and that leads them to the website, leads them to sign up. And so we basically create a funnel for more people to join. And it's quite exciting to see that there's a Google spreadsheet for the Kwaai sign up response, to see that growing every so often. It's also exciting to see Google Analytics spike for the traffic to the website. These are, it's a volunteer organization, and we need to spread it by word of mouth. We don't have a monster marketing budget to go and boost this, or maybe we will do some of that, but for now it's going to be your word, and we need to spread the word. Spread the word broadly in your networks. And Q3 in the organization was about growing the organization. I really thought we'd only have about 25 members. We've got over 100 now. And the aim was to form an advisory board. I think we've got a strong set of consistent advisors that are part of it. And we are going to transition to now taking this informal community and making a non-profit corporation out of it. We've got all the paperwork already. Afshin provided us that from his previous research group, the COVID International Research Team, non-profit. So I've done one pass on it. I'm going to work with a few trusted advisors, and we'll complete that. That is a necessary step for us to go to the next phase, where we can now formally onboard code contributions from other partner companies. I know I've had this conversation with Sean already. I've had this conversation with Mike about his company, and a half a dozen other startup companies that have got code bases and say, hey, we'd like to contribute this for the greater good. I think that's going to be fantastic. It's also important for us to have the next conversation with corporations, enterprise members, so that when they make contributions, they're doing it with the tax benefits of contributing to a non-profit. And Sylvan, you've raised your hand.
Oh, I was waiting for you to finish.
Oh, okay. I'm just going on a wind down rant. So thanks for pausing. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to. Well, there's something that comes to my mind based on what I understand what you're trying to achieve, which is kind of this concept of a digital twin that is customizable for each person. And it's a very difficult activity, but I think that what would be nice from this group that I haven't seen done by others, which is a bit frustrating in the AI world right now, is that everybody's rebuilding the same thing over and over again. And I think this group maybe could. I truly believe that we need to be smart about AI, and we should think of modules to build a true digital twin. I think we could think about what are the different pieces that we need, and we put them together. We want to have we want to use transfer learning, where we can just do one-shot learning from a bunch of things. And so I would say what would be very essential is to create a library of fundamental processes first.
Yeah.
And it could be used as a library, so that then you can really truly customize things fairly quickly and adapt things without spending too much money. So, and I think a group of this size, if you have this is really an undertaking that can only work. It's more of a citizen science kind of effort, where people bring these fundamental modules. We talk about how we make them interoperable, so that there's compatibility between them. And then you can truly build something bigger by bringing these kind of elements. And so, naively, that's kind of the way I would see the power of a big group that is difficult to do under any kind of other environments. So just an idea.
Thank you very much, Sylvan. That's in line with our thinking, but I'd love to explore that concept deeper with you, separate call. Selena, quickly, while we got time.
So I was just going to mention the scale papers, if we had traction on that, because I know the deadline for that is coming up, and there was a couple of other items or different events like Digital Hollywood that someone was also looking to get into. See if we've made any traction with that. We've not.
The scale submission, the deadline I think is November 1. I'd like to get it in before November 1, but scale is the Linux developer conference in Pasadena. It's going to be March of next year. One of the organizers has said, hey, you need to submit. There's an opportunity for maybe even a keynote or even a track dedicated to Kwaai. We just got to make the submission. I haven't done it yet. I'd appreciate the help of other people. We've all got we're all busy. I'd appreciate someone else looking at that, volunteering to look at the Scale conference. So go Google it. I think it's called Scale 21 or something like that. And I think maybe more than one proposal would work. So Selena, thanks so much for reminding us of that. Yeah, so in the remaining 2 minutes, if there's Matt, is there anything else I've forgotten?
Yes, but you didn't forget it. Happy birthday, Selena.
Oh, happy birthday. Fantastic. Happy Kwaai Day and happy birthday. It's just amazing to have these two celebrations in one.
That's right.
Okay. So with that, look, this is the day I look forward to. I hope it's the day you look forward to as well. Yeah, happy Kwaai Day. Every Friday, this is the highlight of my week. We're all volunteers. We've all got day jobs, but we do this because we believe in something, and we are all trying to move a mission along for a cause of making AI better for a better industry, not monopolized by a half a dozen corporations, but AI. I like our debate that we had on the term democracy and democratizing. I came away with the slogan AI, now it's personal. And that, I think, sets the right tone. It addresses the concept more to consumers. Imagine an AI that you own and you operate. It's your data. Let's say an AI trained on your email inbox, an AI trained on all of your communications, so it becomes your communications assistant. That's, I think, is our first product. But a personal AI where you own your own data. Yes, it has to interact with a large language model, but let's figure out ways in which we can do that, retuning, refining in a safe way where you keep the privacy of your own data. You don't just upload it to somebody else's cloud. So that is the overall concept. It's AI, now it's personal. I think with that, Matt, I think we can call it.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate your attendance today. Looking forward to seeing you all next week.
Right.